Okay, so you know how everyone always says, like, choosing the right name for your business is, like, the most important thing ever?
Hmm.
Well, it kind of feels like picking a domain name is, like, right up there in terms of those make or break decisions for your business.
Oh, absolutely.
We're diving into that whole domain name dilemma today, right?
Yeah.
We've got some excerpts from Pasted Text, and specifically, we're looking at episode 12,
Okay.
which seemed to be like the ultimate guide to like navigating this whole domain name world.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, and it's something you really have to get right from the start.
Right. Like, you need a domain name, but it's like, where do you even start? It
Exactly.
can feel super
It
overwhelming.
really is a foundational piece for your online presence.
Right.
It's not just an address. It's a huge part of your brand identity.
It's like your digital storefront, basically. It's that
Definite-
first impression that people get when they find you online. But
Exactly.
like Pasted Text used this great example
Right.
of it was a Santa Barbara golf course,
Right.
and they were talking about like, you know, imagine they could have gone with sbgolf.com, right?
Good.
Short, snappy,
Sure.
to the point.
Yep.
But what if they had ended up with santabarbaraauto.com,
Right.
even if their business was actually based in Santa Barbara?
Right. Exactly.
You'd be like, wait, do they sell golf carts as well as cars? What's going on here?
Yeah. It really highlights that first big takeaway, which is relevance above all else.
Relevance is key, yeah. But how does that play out in the real world, especially like with search engines being so important these days?
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, it was all about like cramming keywords into your domain, right?
Right.
Does that still fly?
You're right. That used to be the go-to strategy. Like you just jam as many keywords as you can into your domain name.
Totally.
But search engines have gotten a lot more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Now it's less about, keyword stuffing and more about choosing a name that genuinely reflects your brand and what you offer.
Right. So it has to actually make sense for your business.
Exactly. It's about connecting with your audience authentically rather than trying to like game the system.
Right. You don't want to look like you're trying too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked about relevance, right? But it's not enough for a domain name to just be relevant to your business.
Right.
You also want people to remember where to find you,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
because a forgettable domain, I mean,
It's true.
it's practically invisible in the grand scheme of the internet.
It's like trying to stand out in a sea of like digital billboards, you know? So many websites out there.
Exactly.
So how do you make sure a domain name is like catchy,
Right.
but not like cheesy?
Right. Well, Pasted Text had some good pointers on that.
Okay.
They broke it down into a few key elements.
Okay. I like it when they break things down like that.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
Keep it short.
Okay.
Stick to simple terms.
Makes sense.
And for the love of all that is holy,
Okay. I'm listening.
go for the .com if you can.
Okay. Short and sweet. Got it. Easier to remember, easier to type, all that.
Exactly.
Avoiding jargon. Yeah, that makes sense. Unless you've got like a super
Right.
niche audience or something.
Right.
But the .com thing,
Yes.
is it really still that big of a deal?
It is.
Really?
It is. It's fascinating, actually.
Okay.
Even with all these new domain extensions popping up, the good old .com
Right.
still carries a lot of weight.
Huh.
It's like that trusty pair of jeans you keep going back to.
Yeah.
Familiar, reliable. It just works.
It's comfortable. You know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
I am totally guilty of that, by the way. Just
Ah.
like automatically typing dead.com
Oh,
without
yeah.
even thinking.
Of course.
Like hardwired in my brain at this point.
Right. It's the default.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of which, Pasted Text also mentioned those other extensions,
Yes.
what were they called again?
Top level domains, TLDs.
Right, TLDs. See, I can't even remember that.
But they do have their place.
Okay.
They do. For example, like .io
Right.
has become really popular with like tech companies.
Yeah.
Almost like a badge of honor in that world.
Right, right. It's like you're legit if you have that .io.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you've got things like .shop for e-commerce
Oh, sure.
or .blog if you're running, well, a blog.
Makes sense.
So, they can be a good fit if they really align with your brand
Right.
and your target audience.
Okay, so it's all about finding like the right TLD for your digital neighborhood. But no
Almost.
matter what,
Yeah.
it needs to be user friendly, right?
Yeah.
Like that whole memorable thing, it goes out the window if people can't even type the darn thing incorrectly.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where usability comes in.
Okay.
It's got to be easy to share, easy to type,
Right.
easy to get right on the first try.
Right. Like first time, every time.
Exactly.
Go messing around.
Remember our friends at the Santa Barbara golf course?
Yeah, the Santa Barbara golf course.
Imagine if they'd gone with something like sb-golf.com.
Ooh, with a dash in there?
Yeah, it's not terrible,
Right.
but that dash could trip people up.
Yeah. It's those little things, though,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, people might think it's Speb Golf, all one word, or sb.golf,
Yeah.
and they end up at, like, some random website. Who knows?
Exactly.
Talk about a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got our relevant, memorable, user-friendly domain name.
Right.
We checked all the boxes. We're good to go. Right. Time to launch this thing.
Well, almost.
Almost.
I can't forget about, like, the Wild West aspect of the internet.
Oh?
You know, what if someone registers, like, a really similar domain name
Oh, no.
and tries to, like, siphon off some of your traffic
Oh, man.
because people accidentally typed in the wrong thing?
I hadn't even thought about that. It's
Yeah.
like digital real estate.
Exactly.
You got to protect your turf.
Pasted text calls this, like, defensive domain registration,
Okay.
which sounds way more official than it needs to.
Sure.
But
It's a good visual, though. I like it.
basically, you're going to want to snag any variations of your domain name, right?
Okay.
It's like different TLDs,
Right.
common misspellings.
Oh, I see.
Think of it as like building a fence around your brand.
Smart. Okay, so if we stick with our golf course example,
Yeah.
they might want to grab sbgolf.net
Right.
or even like santabarbaragolfcourse.com.
Exactly.
To be said.
And it's especially important if you're using numbers in your domain name.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Like, imagine trying to tell someone, oh, yeah, our website is 136designs.com.
Right.
Like, they're going to forget those numbers instantly.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir.
Right.
I can never remember if it's 100 or 1
Exactly.
when I'm writing those out. Yeah.
That's tough.
So you're saying like grab the spelled out version as well.
Yes, exactly.
Just for clarity.
Precisely.
136designs.com.
Much easier to remember.
Even if it is like a mouthful.
Right, exactly.
Now, here's a question. What happens if your dream domain name, it's already taken? Is it just like game over?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
You can try reaching out to the current owner
Okay.
and see if they'd be open to selling it.
Ooh, like a little domain name negotiation. How do you even approach that? Do you just like slide into their DMs with a, hey, nice domain, want to sell it?
Well, Pasted Text actually had a clever tip about this.
Okay, I like it.
They recommend using a generic email address,
Okay.
not one that's like directly tied to your business,
Oh.
because sellers might be more inclined to like inflate the price
Oh, sneaky.
if they know you're desperate for that specific name.
Oh, I see. So you got to play it cool.
Maybe
Like
that's-
all this old thing. I kind of want it. Sneaky. Love that.
Got to be strategic.
Yeah. So I guess this all just comes back to that initial point of like choosing wisely from the get-go,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Like pasted text mentioned, changing your domain name down the line, it's such a pain.
It is a huge hassle.
It's like trying to, I don't know, move your entire business to a new location.
Exactly.
You know, new addresses, new signs, like the whole shebang.
It's a big undertaking.
So think long and hard about that domain name, folks. It's more than just a web address. It's like, it's an investment
It is.
in your online success. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive
This has been great.
into the world of domain names.
Yes, it has.
We've learned so much.
I know. And who knew that domain names could be so fascinating?
I know, right? It's like a whole world unto itself.
It really is.
So much to consider, but hopefully our listeners out there
Definitely.
feel a little bit more equipped now
Yes.
to choose a domain name
Absolutely.
that's going to help them, you know, thrive online.
Exactly. And remember, if you're ever feeling stuck,
Yes.
don't be afraid to get creative and have a little fun with it.
Yeah. Make it your own.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to sign off.
Until next time.
This has been another episode of The Deep Dive.
Bye, everyone.
See it.